Now, we mentioned briefly sort of the Eurozone crisis, and do you think that really would hinder our progress towards sort of the, sort of the EU's targets on sort of reducing emissions as part of the climate deal? Or do you think it's something we'll find some way of getting around it?
I don't know how the current response to the Eurozone crisis is going to do anyone any good, regardless of whether we're thinking about it from an environmental point of view, or a social point of view, or a national interest point of view. The current situation seems to be benefiting the very rich most. The salaries of FTSE 100 directors and bankers has gone up in the last year. The salaries of most people in the UK has stayed stationary, or in effect has gone down after inflation. And in Europe, the prosperity of the richest country has benefited Germany at the expense of poorer countries around the edge like Greece and Spain. Now, the way in which we currently look to deal with financial crisis isn't fair. It's allowing the richest people and the richest countries to benefit at the expense of those on the edges. And we are on the edge of Europe, and we're a country which has a group of financial interests in the City of London who are maybe in the rich club mainly, siding with the interests of Germany, but also a large population that may suffer in the same ways as Ireland and Greece and Spain if we take that path. So I think we need to look beyond those kind of solutions and see, in a recession, is it always the big people that will help you? Is it Tesco's? Every little bit will help, or do we need to maybe work together and have more public programs, more community facilities, more job creation to kickstart an economy in a different way, rather than simply bailing out the old way, which still isn't working and isn't dealing with those wider environmental issues either.
Thank you for that, Jonathan. It's been really informative, and we hope to see you again on another show.
Thank you.
So do you think, what Jonathan was saying in relation to the climate change thing, that it should be more about us taking more empowerment? I think the things that sticks out with me is that how can we have empowerment when people haven't got the resources to do it?
It's not about the resources, it's just that the public they're only so limited in their capability of dealing with environmental issues, whether it's recycling or vocally speaking out in public, or talking to their local council about what they wish to change about CO2 emissions, in general green.
But do you think people are making that demand? Because like what we were talking about, me and Jonathan mentioned the Eurozone crisis has shadowed everything. People are worried about their jobs, keeping their house, trying to stay alive at the moment, and time after time, and this is the prime example. So
you think the Eurozone crisis has undermined what happened in Durban?
Well, it just basically, look at Durban. What did Durban say? Originally, if you look at the papers, and the papers basically said that we're supposed to be legally binding, and then they changed the terminology so it wasn't really legal. What was the point in it? The point was to actually set some targets to work towards, to make cuts. America kept their gob shut basically because they don't really want to be sort of either agreeing or disagreeing with it. Last round of Kyoto they were opposing to it, but they can't say anything this time because they're not only they're a major polluter, but China is, and India, and their major beef is basically, do you know what, it's not really fair that we should have to cut, even though they're a major industrialised power, they're a major contributor. So most people kept their gob shut at the conference because.
So in the end, what did America and China sign in the end? What did they agree on?
They agreed on it, but the thing is, the deal is very, very loose.
Very vague.
Yeah, it's very vague, and the fact is it doesn't really start kicking off until 2015 with the targets for 2020. So basically it says, Eurozone crisis, a few years to sort of get adjusted, or we'll try to kick it off at 2015. We'll try to, because again, it's not exactly that binding, but there are different programs in place. They are trying to put into, the whole idea of like a green fund, where 30 billion is supposed to be put towards,
But where does that 30 billion come from?
Exactly, that's the point. You know what I mean? It's just like digging a hole. We're all in a debt at the moment, so it's a real, sort of quagmire to sort of, like wade through to get to an answer. I don't really foresee it. I know Jonathan was being really, really enthusiastic and passionate about, we need to take ownership of our own. But reality is that only happens when you have a little bit more money to play with and invest.
Yeah, we're going to just have to do things in some very small steps.
Yeah.
Very frustratingly small steps.
Yeah. And then basically we're not going to see huge leaps and bounds, and that's kind of my opinion on it, really. That's it, really, in terms of how you can make that change during an economic crisis.
But apart from America and China and other big countries, what are the smaller countries?
Well, they're not for me. They're not the major emitters, are they?
They don't have to make any commitment.
But that's what America was saying. Last round of Kyoto, saying, developing countries need to contribute. Yeah, they do contribute CO2 emissions globally. But who are the major players? You, China, and India. You know what I mean? It's like, but you are a major player. Deal with it. Do something with it. They've always run away from it every single time. It's just a giant piss take. It's like, we should really be doing this. And I think, as I said, they kept quiet because basically, they didn't want to bring any attention to themselves. It's a good way. If you don't say anything, you need to give the impression.
And you won't have to spend any money.
You know what I mean? It's just it's a joke. Yeah. America's always been a joke when it comes to any type of environmental commitment, and it's what can I say? But yeah, it's like what you just said before. Basically, small steps, and that's what you can hope for. Because hopefully those small steps will come in the next few years. But the 2015 mark will be the kicking point.
I think it'll probably take another 1,000 years before we start to really see a difference.
Yeah, we'll all be dead anyway, so you know what I mean?
That's the attitude, I think, with these government officials and representatives. I just think, I don't really care as far forward as my great-great-grandchildren.
It's a funny thing you mention that, because a lot of it's about terms as well. Depending on which office you're in, political office, then basically they're just going to say, you know what, I don't really want to do anything too risque during my political term in office. We're trying to word it or say it's sort of neither here or there, and it's just it can be disconcerting, but it doesn't stop people from still trying to challenge the establishment and the way of thinking. And like Jonathan was saying, you just got to keep on trying. So that's all you're going to do, really. So few steps, and in the next few years up until 2015.
And those few steps will involve not just the input from money, and
it's how government spends its money and where it puts its resources.
What about enlightening and educating the general public?
You know what?
Children at schools.
They've got that. They've got that in their citizenship programs. Environmental issues are quite clearly put through the sort of school curriculum. The time for education is over, in my opinion. We've had enough for the last 20 years of education. It's time for actually putting things into place.
Action, yeah.
That's it, man. That's what I think.
Okay. Well, thanks for your views on that.
Thanks for your views on that. And thank you from the Thing. Bye.
The polar bear and the horse. What was their names?
I haven't got any.
Losers.
Losers
with opinions.
That's it.
Save the ice!